There is a person the avoidant cannot get out of their head. Not the easiest person they ever dated. Not the most accommodating, the most patient. The one who asked for the least and gave the most. Not the one who loved them so thoroughly and so quietly that they barely had to show up at all. The person they cannot shake is a different kind of person entirely. And if you have been sitting with the question of whether you are that person, whether what you had was significant enough to pull them back, whether the connection was real enough to survive their own sabotage, then this is going to matter to you. Not as a strategy, as an honest look at the psychology of what actually creates lasting imprint in the avoidance emotional world. The first thing to understand is that avoidants do not go back to people. As a general rule, the attachment style that is most defended against vulnerability is also the most defended against the admission that walking away was a mistake. Going back requires acknowledging that the distance they created was fear-driven rather than legitimate, that the narrative they built to justify their exit was protection rather than truth. That is a significant amount of self-confrontation for someone whose entire system is built to avoid exactly that. So when an avoidant does go back, when they breach that defense and move towards someone they previously retreated from, it is not casual, it is not impulsive. It is the result of something that person left in them, that time and distance did not dissolve. Understanding what creates that kind of lasting imprint tells you everything. It is not the person who loved them most completely. This is the part that lands hard, because most people in these dynamics gave everything. They were patient beyond reason. They were understanding to the point of self-erasure. They absorbed the hot and cold without complaint, recalibrated after every withdrawal, and showed a capacity for love that was genuinely remarkable. And the avoidant appreciated it. In their own managed, guarded way, they appreciated it. But appreciation is not the same as being haunted. Appreciation does not keep someone up at night months after the relationship ended. Appreciation does not crack the defense system. What cracks the defense system is someone who was simultaneously the most genuine connection they ever had and the most impossible to fully possess. Not because that person played games, because that person was so fully themselves, so grounded, so real, so unapologetically present as a complete human being, that the avoidant could never quite complete their internal narrative about them. The person the avoidant goes back to is someone they could not reduce. Every defense system runs on reduction. It works by making the thing you are retreating from smaller in your mind than it actually is. She was too needy. He was too intense. The relationship was suffocating. The timing was wrong. These reductions allow the avoidant to walk away with their nervous system intact, their narrative clean, their decision feeling reasonable. But there is a type of person who resists reduction, not because they argue against it, not because they fight the narrative or demand to be seen accurately, but because who they actually are keeps surfacing through the reduction. Because the avoidant will be in the middle of a perfectly constructed story about why leaving was right, and then remember something, a specific moment, a quality, a way this person existed in the world, that does not fit the story. And the story starts to crack. That cracking is the beginning of going back. The person the avoidant returns to is someone who had a distinct, vivid sense of self. Not loud, not performative, just present in a specific way that was entirely their own. They had opinions that were genuinely theirs. They found things meaningful that had nothing to do with the relationship. They existed fully in rooms the avoidant was not in. They were someone outside of being someone's partner. That quality, genuine selfhood, is magnetic to an avoidant for the same reason it is safe. A person with a strong sense of self does not need to be completed by the relationship. They are not a void that the avoidant is responsible for filling. Being with them feels like a choice that can be made freely, rather than an obligation that grows heavier the more you invest. And when that person is gone, the avoidant does not just miss the relationship. They miss the specific texture of who that person was, because that texture was irreplaceable. There is no approximate version of it available elsewhere. Other people might be easier, more available, less emotionally complex to navigate, but they do not have that specific quality. And the avoidant knows it. The person the avoidant goes back to also had limits they actually held. Not threats, not ultimatums delivered in moments of frustration and then quietly abandoned when the avoidant went cold. Actual, demonstrated, consistent limits. Moments where this person said, clearly and without performance, "This is not something I will accept," and then did not accept it. That consistency, the alignment between what someone said and what someone did, creates a specific kind of respect in the avoidant that softness alone never generates. Because softness, however genuine, can be taken for granted. Limits that hold cannot. They register as evidence of genuine self-worth, and genuine self-worth in another person is one of the few things that makes an avoidant genuinely afraid of losing them. The avoidant goes back to the person who made them feel the most seen and the least controlled, who loved them without making that love a cage, who stayed real when it would have been easier to perform, who held their own ground quietly and completely. That person does not need to engineer a return. They just need to have been real. And real, in the avoidant's emotional memory, does not fade. It waits, quietly, in the place where all the things they could not reduce eventually settle. And one day, usually when they are honest enough with themselves to go looking, they find it still there, unchanged, irreducible, true.